Welcome back to the Cheap Heat Productions podcast. Okay, welcome back to the show. And as you can see on our screens, we have a very familiar face from the wrestling world. Mr. Buff Bagwell, how are you doing today, man?
What's up? What's going on, man? How you doing, brother?
I am doing good. Listen, you guys have had a crazy weekend. Do you want to fill me in on that first?
Oh, dude, this is off the chain. WrestleCade every year is always a great, where all the fans, if you're not familiar with it as a fan, put WrestleCade, Winston-Salem, North Carolina on your list for every year because it's unbelievable. And this year they had, it was unbelievable. I mean, just name somebody. It would be easier than me tell you who was there. But Sting, Steiner Brothers. Sting alone. That's one of my best friends, and I got to see him. And it was good to see him. He was in real good spirits. He came up and hugged me and everything. And with all the bad publicity I've been getting on internet lately, with Buff being drunk and messed up and not having his stuff together. Just all the crazy ass internet shit that's out there. I swear to God, it reminds me of a story when I was real wealthy and just was into wrestling, and I came home and I see this big white box that's a computer.
Yeah.
And I knew nothing. I know nothing about computers right now. And because I never had to, I wish I would have had to, so I learned more. But I didn't have to, so I didn't. All I had to do was, keep in mind, my job's a full-time job of being Buff Bagwell, which is gym, tan, diet to a T every meal. People think, they can think what they want about anything, but it really is tough to be buff. It's not easy. And I used to come out and make jokes of that, on TV, like, do you think I just woke up like this morning? You just don't wake up and look like this. There's a plan, brother, when you look like this and you wake up. You didn't just wake up and look like Buff Bagwell. You planned it. So there was for the moment I woke up in the morning, it was straight downstairs to the Stairmaster and all that. So anyway, I see this computer, and by the way, I didn't know it was a computer yet. I go, what is this? And that's how long ago it was. This is 1997, probably, when I built my big house, and I was rolling and making $1 million a year, and wrestling was huge and all that. And I go, what in the hell is this? And they go, it's a computer. And I said, so this is the thing that they're saying. Anybody, like right now, they're saying that I can be anybody I want on this box. And they said, yeah. And then the person that I asked went like, yeah, isn't that cool? And I said, it'll never work.
And here we are.
Boy, was I wrong. But it's sad a little bit too, even though as cool as it is, we're able to do this.
Yeah.
It's also sad in the fact that everything they read, they actually believe.
Yeah.
I've had these kind of interviews, bro, where I've had to defend my mother supposedly calling the WWE, WWF at the time.
That's bullshit.
Asking for me to not be on some wrestling shows. When I'm trying to make it and stay alive in the world of wrestling, I'm going to call my mom to call in. I'm having to defend shit like that, bro. So it was crazy. It was just a bad, bad time. And I never thought the world, the human race, I never thought would buy into that.
Yeah.
And I was, again, extremely wrong, But back to WrestleCade, man, write it down on your list. WrestleCade's tremendous. I was able to see Sting, a lot of guys that my agent and Michael Long, my podcast partner, he explained it to me that these guys are as popular as you were, Buff, in your heyday right now. And I'm like, you're kidding me, and these are guys that are huge, huge names. And I was privileged, man, to go up and shake their hands. But at the same time, it was a little bit depressing for me, because you got to realize I'm coming to him as a legend now.
Yeah.
Not as one of the boys. I'm a legend. And that's a great thing to be. But at the same time, it's borderline. It's like, legend thing ties age to that. Jerry Lawler is Jerry Lawler's one of my best friends, and he's a legend. But now I'm a legend too. Oh God, I don't want to be old. And Jerry Lawler looks incredible, and he's one of my best friends, and he's not old to me. But we're still considered legends because there's so much talent coming up. But great time at WrestleCade. Really, all the guys got to see Marcus Alexander Bagwell. All the guys got to see Marcus Alexander Bagwell. And that made it really cool to me because of all the bad publicity and the haters and the Hannibals, which, by the way, I hate his guts. And God, I hope you say something back so I can drill you again.
Did you not guys do a show together not so long ago? I thought I seen you guys do a show.
He had me on a show, then buried me with all my friends, acting like I was first of all, acting like I was drunk on his show, and then said that then he got friends of mine that I had words with over it that were see, there was two things that happened to me. There was two car incidences that happened to me.
Yeah.
I had a guy that I can't talk about it, but long story short, an incident happened, and I was ran through a MARTA bus station bathroom, which sent me to the hospital and caused everything that's happened to me with the repair of my patellar tendon and me being out for a year from wrestling, which at the same time, COVID happened.
Yeah.
So either way, I lost a couple $100,000 a year. I mean, a couple $100,000 period, because you couldn't wrestle and my knee was hurt. So it was a good time to be hurt if you're going to be hurt. But long story short, I had that incident, and then I had another incident where a guy said I hit him, and so they had me for hit and run. But I pulled over. I said, "Bro, if Buff Bagwell hit and run you, guess what? You would have never called me. If I hit and run, brother, I'm gone. You're not going to catch Buff Bagwell." Well, this guy come up behind me flashing his lights and stuff. So I pull over, and he's on the phone. Well, there's a warrant for my arrest that I know about, but because of COVID, they had not been doing warrants because of COVID. They didn't know what to do yet.
Okay.
And they still don't know what to do because of COVID in jail. So, but they just had released it that warrants were counting again. So I knew as soon as I saw him on the phone that I was going to jail. And so I told the guy, I said, why would I lie or pull over if you think you're trying to charge me with a hit and run? I got speeding on that charge, for example.
Yeah.
There was no car. There was no cop car. No cop car was behind me. So they got me for speeding, failure to yield, which means you did not get over fast enough, which means a cop car's got to be behind you. So just getting drilled, over this, and then I called Dallas Page and I said, "Listen, bro," I said, "Do you realize you were talking about something that was 10 months old?" Hey, baby. It's right here. You're good. I said, you realize something that I said you were talking about something that was 10 months old? And he goes, Dallas Page actually looks at me. He goes, no. He goes, no, bro. He goes, no, bro. You just did this. And I said, can I cuss on this or not?
You could say whatever you want, man.
I said, are you fucking telling me what I just fucking did? And he realized he was talking to Mark Bagwell, and he goes, because me and Dallas go way back, and I love him to death, and we're best friends.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we talk about best friends. Hey, look, bro, what the fuck, And he dove right into Hannibal's web. And Hannibal had put those two things together and was drilling me and putting my friends on the spot, getting them to give a reaction. And he got it. He got reactions from them, and they were like, Dallas dove all the way in, though. And that's what pissed me off about Dallas at first. But I love him so much, I don't care because, God, he's done so much for me, and he's just such a great guy, dude.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I called him up and I said, bro, do you realize you were talking about something today that was 10 months old? I said, 10 months. And he goes, no, brother, you just did this. I go, are you fucking telling me something that I just did?
Yeah.
And he goes, well, didn't you? And I go, I'm trying to tell you, you're talking about something today and you did it that was 10 months fucking old. And he was
I seen
my
you
God,
both.
I'm so sorry.
I seen you address this on TMZ when TMZ.
Yeah, they let me get a rebuttal.
Yeah. And you said, this is what happened. I think it was 9 months ago at the time because you kept saying it was 9 months
because
ago.
it was.
And then you took off your shirt and you said, look, I'm in great condition.
Of course.
The big story that I heard over here in Ireland lately was the one about you saying that WWE wouldn't let you enter into their rehab. What's the story behind that, man?
It's huge, brother. It's a big, gigantic deal. And it's something that Dallas doesn't want me to really, there's no reason to involve anybody's name in this right now, except just the facts. The facts are to make it as humble and as nice as it is, which is the truth. The truth is I was reaching out for what they offer, which is help.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm out of control and partying my ass off. I mean, the whole for 3 days this weekend, everybody saw Marcus Alexander Bagwell. So when you're messed up, you can't hide it, bro. I'm 250. I look great. I feel great. You can see me right now. No slurred speech. No drunk. No. I'm Mark Bagwell. I'm just buff when the camera's on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it just blew my mind that again, that this got brought up, and but still my friends kind of got to where it was kind of like the boy that cried wolf a little bit. And so I thought, look, if going to rehab will get me totally clean, which I wasn't totally clean, but I wasn't near as bad as my friends thought either.
Yeah.
I said, but if it'll do both, let's do it. Let's just do it and show the fans and show AEW and show everybody, WWE, everybody, that I'm willing to go 90 days and everything else just to clear it up. And they turn me down, bro. They turn me down. And then they make it about because I sued them. And I said, well, I promise you I'm not the only one. Well, once you do your homework on it, I'm not the only one that sued them and got turned down, but for whatever reason, they turned me down, and a guy named Bill Killar is his name. It's like pronounced killer, but his name is Killar is how you spell it, Kilar, and his name's Bob Killar. And but he is kind of the guy that helps guys get to in between to make sure. And we just knew for a fact I was going to be able to go to rehab, and they called back and said no. And so, believe it or not, to my knowledge, and I'm waiting for somebody out there to please contact me or let me know, I am the only one that has ever been turned down.
Yeah.
Through several names I could throw up right now that I'm not going to,
Yeah.
but names that all of the real true wrestling fans know that needed help and got help through Vince that I asked for and didn't get. So, it really just kind of upset me more than anything.
Yeah.
So what it did was it made me just realize, look, I'm going to do this myself. I'm going to show people that I can do this myself. But at the same time, I wanted to prove to people so they saw me trying.
Yeah.
Well, they're still going to see me as Marcus Alexander Bagwell right now on this podcast. And believe me, everything I do, there's eyes on. From the moment I walk out that front door in the morning, there's eyes on me. And that's just the way my life is. And I like my life being like that because it keeps me in the gym. It keeps me, staying in shape.
Yeah.
I remember the old timers back in the day saying, look, man, one day you're going to regret that name, brother. And I didn't get it at 25. I was like, I wonder what they mean, regret that name. Well, brother, I turned 40 and I realized what they meant. I got it.
Yeah.
Because you turn 40 and you try to keep a name called Buff, it's a little bit hard to do. Like we talked about, it's not easy to go to the gym 5 days a week and hit the 10 in bed and keep your goatee perfect and keep your look. And that's not the best thing and easiest thing in the world to do. Yeah. And that's what kept us, even back when I was 25. That's why I was able to call myself Buff Bagwell for, because a lot of guys couldn't do it, because it's tough. It's just tough to look in shape, especially with our travel schedule. Yeah. When you're doing 250, 300 days a year, bro, the worst thing you can do to me is say, well, I can't really work out because I travel a lot. I'm like, hey, you're talking to the wrong person, bro. I go, I've been traveling my whole life. I built this body on the road. Yeah. And I did. I literally built it where pro bodybuilders were able to go to the same gym, the same time, set their schedules, make their meals. Dude, we're going to places and buying 3 meals at one place because you have to make sure we at least have 3 meals for that day.
Yeah.
And just stuff like that people have no idea what we had to go through. And there wasn't no cell phones back then, brother. This wasn't no look up the Gold's Gym that's around the corner and go to it. This was get the phone book out, go to the yellow pages and find the closest gym.
Yeah.
And still looked like Buff Bagwell. So I worked very hard. And it did upset me about, them turning me down. But at the same time, it also gave me motivation just to do it anyway. So I did so and do not hold it against them at all. It's just something that happened. But they did turn me down. And I think, to my knowledge, like I said, I think I'm the only person in the history of time that get turned down by the WWE. And I'm talking about some heavy hitters out there.
Yeah,
that went to rehab several times. That went to rehab that they paid for, and I asked once and get turned down. So
I want to know.
I hate that, but at the same time, it humbled me and made me go, look, nobody's gonna reach out and help you. So let's just buckle down and let's fix this. And I did.
You were very successful for over 10 years in WCW, and then you came to WWE. And to say that they didn't pull the trigger on you would be an understatement. Why did they never give you a shot? Because when you walked out on Monday Night Raw for that night against Booker T, the crowd were into it. Like, the crowd cheered you. You were over. You were carrying momentum from WCW, being tag team superstar over there, part of the NWO. You were a massive part of WCW. Yeah. Why do you think that they just said no?
Dude, believe it or not, I've literally answered this question before by saying I would almost take an answer over a contract in this situation to actually know why they really, really, really did it. But let me just answer the question that you just gave by giving you an example.
Yeah.
The next week from the night me and Booker wrestled was Atlanta. Did you know that?
Okay. No, I didn't realize that. No.
Think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
You're Vince McMahon. You're calling something the invasion. And we're invading Ted Turner, which is in what city? Atlanta, Georgia. The next 7 days from the night me and Booker wrestled, we were going to be in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, you put Booker T and Buff Bagwell in Atlanta, Georgia, and the roof's going to come off the place.
Yeah.
Instead, they put us 5,000 miles away in a city that WCW's never been in. If they had, maybe once. And so all I can tell you is I don't know why, and it blows my mind, but the world knows, and you said earlier I could cuss on this.
Yep.
The world knows I got fucked.
Yeah.
Buff Bagwell got fucked, and the world of wrestling knows it. And I don't know why. And I'd give anything to know why. But I got fucked. Yeah. Now, I think, if you want my opinion, I think they needed a sacrificial lamb to straighten up merging two companies that didn't want to merge, because if I get hired, that means somebody's getting
fired.
Thank you. So why would they be friendly to me knowing that I could take their fucking job away? They're not going to be. But I literally was so young, I came in going, oh my God, I'm going to see all my friends and this is going to be fantastic. And I walked into my hand out like this and, you know, arms crossed. And I'm like, holy shit, this ain't going to be what I thought, you know? So it was rough, man. It was rough. It was like I said, they always say, you know, the first one through the door gets the bloodiest, and I got bloodied and fired.
Yeah.
And they actually had the nerve to call it released. They used the word. I raised my hand. In the meeting, I raised my hand. And Vince goes, you ain't got to raise your hand, Mark. And I said, I feel like I need to. I go, are y'all firing me? Because, I mean, I'm getting fired in Atlanta, Georgia, and you're Buff fucking Bagwell, bro. So I'm like, what's going on? And so I go, am I getting fired? And they come back like that. And they say, no, we're releasing you. I was like, am I missing something here? I re-raised my hand again. And Vince goes, Mark, you ain't got to raise your hand. I go, I feel like I have to. I go, what's the difference of getting released and getting fired? And they said, well, and they had a comeback like that, brother, how fast the comeback was. And it was such a great comeback. I started just shaking hands and leaving. And it was, well, if we release you, we don't got to redo your contract in 3 months. We can just bring you back. If we fire you, we've got to redo your whole contract, and it'll be more trouble. Right when I heard that, as quick as I heard it, I said, start shaking hands and just leave on good terms. And I did.
Yeah.
Even with the heat that I had, Buff Bagwell stood up. Everybody in the room, from Jim Ross down, can lie or tell the truth, whatever they want to do. Buff Bagwell stood up, shook everybody's hand that was in the room, all the bosses, thanked them. I even said, how do you want me to do my bags? Because when you come in a building, there's one way you come in with your bags. Nobody goes that way. There's one way into the locker rooms. So if a Buff Bagwell or a Star is going that way, you're going to have a bunch of guys going, hey, Buff, where are you going? Well, I thought about that in the meeting I got released. And I said, what do you do with my bags? I mean, can you help me get maybe somebody to set them out to the side or something? I was even trying to help them fire me. Because I literally just didn't want to have no more heat. And I said, do you want me to have somebody, won't you just have somebody grab my bags for me? I'll walk out. And they go, they didn't give a shit about that. They were like, nah, it's okay. And I was like, oh my God. So here I go out, rolling my bags that way, the wrong way. And I'm going this way. And every motherfucker in Atlanta, Georgia was going, Buff, where you going? Buff, where you going? And I'm not saying a word and trying my best not to cry. And I'm walking toward an $85,000 Jag. I'm going to get in the $85,000 Jag and call my parents that are in the stands and tell them to come home, and then drive to my $1 million and $1.5 million house that's now gone, and realize how depressing is this. And the last person I saw of all things was Chris Benoit.
Wow.
The last person I saw was Woman and Chris Benoit, and that's where I cried. I was trying not to cry. I got in my car, and they pulled up. And Chris was hurt. He had a neck. I remember he just had his neck surgery done.
Yeah.
He had the neck brace on, and he said, "Hey," he said, he goes, "What's going on, Buff?" I go, "Well," he's, "Where are you going?" I go, "Dude, I just fucking got fired." He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "I swear to God," I said, "They called it released." He goes, "Oh, you got fired." I said, "No shit, I know," but they acted like release was different. So they wanted me to call him back in 3 months. I called him back. I waited about 4 just to not have any more heat, not do something wrong. I waited 4 months. Called him back, and the first thing I heard from Jim Ross's mouth was this. I heard, that's what I heard when Jim Ross answered. And I went, Jim, I instantly answered the breath. I said, Jim, the only reason I'm calling is because you guys told me to call you back in 3 months. And I said, and I did not want more heat than I already had. So I wanted to do what you guys asked me to do. So I'm calling you back. And they said, he goes, we have no openings right now. And if we do, we'll give you a call. Click. And I think I tried a couple of times after that to call John Laurinaitis. I even offered Laurinaitis, when he was running things, I offered him, I said, look, bring me in for a month. Bring me in for 2 weeks. Bring me in for a week. Whatever you all decide to bring me in for, bring me in for. I said, I'll wrestle it for free. I said, pay for my trans, but I'll wrestle it for free. I said, at the end of that 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 week, month, whatever you want, y'all realize if you want to keep Buff or not. But give me a chance. So to my knowledge, and to an interview that's coming up on Conrad Thompson's website, on his podcast, it's going to come up, because he's so intrigued with this, and I love it. I love him being intrigued by it, because I want to get to the bottom. I want to tell the whole story too again and get it straight, because it's never been really straightened out on what Jim Ross said, how he said it, why he said it. It's still wide open on really not clearing it up. And he's blown away himself on why did I not get a second chance.
Yeah, I seen Kurt Angle talking about it with Conrad a couple of weeks back.
That podcast is what made me contact Conrad. I saw the podcast too, and I instantly had my agent type in my words to an email to Conrad Thompson, and we set up. Matter of fact, he's calling me back. I was going to go on yesterday, but we had our thing at 4. We was coming home from WrestleCade and all that. So he realized it was just pushing it too, and there's no reason to push it. But he's really excited about going online. Like I said, for example, if Jim Ross fired me and liked me and was really doing his job as he says he was doing, why would I be upset? I wouldn't be, because Jim Ross has done nothing wrong. Jim Ross was doing his job, and he was told to fire Buff Bagwell, so he did so. That there's no reason for me to be mad. How can I be mad about that? I can't be.
Yeah.
But when you say you like Buff Bagwell and you're doing your job, and there's this little DVD called Heat Seekers that shows Jim Ross ripping me a fucking part, calling me everything in the book but a friend, and dogging me out, then that changes the whole story, of him lying. And that's what pissed me off about Jim Ross all those years was there was only 3 witnesses the day that I was told to stay home that the famous mother story got brought up. And that was me, God, and Jim Ross. There's no witnesses, and the fans obviously are going to believe Jim Ross over Buff Bagwell. And so the fans actually, I didn't think they'd believe my mother called, but they did. And finally, it got to where I would say, hey, look, let's say my mother did call. Let's say she did. Let's say she's lying to me and my mother called, which, by the way, passed away this past week. And thank everybody out there for calling in and thanking so much for, texting me and everything. I really appreciate all the fans that supported that. And I really thank all the fans that responded to that. But even if she did do it, let's say, so what? Bagwell, tell your mother not to call us no more. Bagwell, we didn't like your match. That ain't how we do it here. Mm-hmm. But I got no warnings, no nothing. I just got fucking fired, bro.
Yeah.
And to answer your question that started this whole answer was, I don't know, bro. I don't know. I just know I got fucked. And that's a fact. That's a fact.
We are definitely going to catch up again and talk, but we're kind of caught for time here tonight.
Yes, I know you got a tough schedule.
Yeah, what I want to do is before we wrap up, and hopefully we get you back on in a couple of months. What I want to know is just give your podcast a shout out, where we can find it, and what you guys got coming up.
Yes, it's rebuilding Buff, and that's the object. And I've explained it a couple of times on the site and in person at live events where what the name's for, because I realized I saw my partner, he had the shirt on one day, rebuilding Buff, and I thought, I wonder if fans really know what we mean by that. Mm-hmm. So I wanted them to know about the Vince thing and not getting allowed to go to rehab, and at the same time, it was time to check myself, just regroup, and just make sure that there's when and that was also great about WrestleCade this weekend was all the fans that saw the wrestlers, even meaning the fans and the wrestlers, seeing Marcus Bagwell, seeing Marcus Alexander Bagwell, not Buff, not try to be cool, just Marcus Alexander Bagwell,
Yeah.
So that was cool, but it's called Rebuilding Buff. And Vinny, how do they get to that on my podcast? How do they
I believe it's on Anchor.
Yeah, Anchor.
Yeah.
Anchor. So it's easy to find. And if nothing else, you can go to my website, which is marcusbuffbagwell.com, and it shows all my Instagram. So if you want anything about me, everything is on my website, which is marcusbuffbagwell.com. And that shows my Instagram, Facebook, all my social media stuff, Twitter, all that. And it shows my, how to book me, how to find me, how to talk to me, how to get a podcast with me. It shows everything. It gets you in touch right with my agent, which is Vinny. And so just really, man, just thank the fans. I really thank the fans so much for hanging with me and just still being out there for me, and I had it really was a real fun time this weekend to see that again. That I've not lost too many steps, if any, with the fan base. And so I love the fans. It comes across that way because of just the way I treat them when I'm out there. You can tell if you've ever watched me at a show, it's just genuine. It's genuine. I'm genuinely Marcus Alexander Bagwell at all times, even though I'm wearing the hat and got the glasses on and all that. I'm Mark, man. I'm Mark, and that's what got me over in the first place was being who I was and being a well-mannered, Southern boy, or you got your ass whipped by my family. And so, it was kind of a must. But man, thank you so much for having me on. And I really had a great time. And like I said, we need to do this again.
Yeah. There's a couple of things I wanted to touch on, but we'll save it for another day. And we'll go through some more stuff with you both. Thank you so much, man, for your time.
Hey man, I really, really appreciate you. And also I was watching the beginning of your podcast come on, and there's some big names in there that I'd love to ask you some questions about that you had on your show. So
Sure.
that was a hell of a clip you showed there in the beginning, and now you got a hell of a guy you can put on. You can add to that clip. So
I'm gonna have to re-edit the intro
you
now.
got to
For Jim there,
re-edit it
man.
now, but you got to put Buff in there now. So Morris, thank you so much for everything, and I really loved being on your show. And like I said, we'll get together again, and next time we'll get to talk about a little more stuff. I kind of ramble, but let's say I don't ramble. I tell good stories, but to tell a good story it takes a little time.
Yeah.
So sorry about that. Thank you so much, though,
Exactly.
Morris.
Thanks so much, man.